Welcome back, dear students. This video is for class 10th, subject science, chapter 3, lecture number 2. This video is on the request that the lecture number 2 video which I earlier uploaded was not very clear. So that is why I have made the video again and I am trying my best. So let us see today's content. So in this lecture, the first topic that we will see is chemical properties of metal, that how metals they react with air, that means how they react with oxygen, then with water, with dilute acids and with other metal salts. Then we will see the chemical properties of non-metals, that how they react with oxygen, with water, with acids, with chlorine, with hydrogen and with metals. So, and at the end of the lecture we will see the homework and the previous lectures homework solutions. So let us begin with our first topic. So chemical properties of metal. First point in chemical properties of metals is when metals they are burnt in air, or you can say that when they react with oxygen. When metals they are burned in air or they react with oxygen present in air, they form metal oxides, because metal which combines with oxygen and then it becomes metal oxide. So as you all know that metals they are electropositive in nature. That means they have a tendency to lose more and more electrons, and metals they have a great affinity for oxygen. So whenever oxygen is found near the metal, it gets combined with it according to its reactivity and metal oxide is formed. Because by losing electrons, metals get oxidized and hence metal oxides are formed. These metal oxides are generally basic in nature. I'll be telling you in the detail that why they are generally basic in nature. One example we can take, that when copper is reacting with oxygen, it forms copper oxide. So let us see some of the examples, after which you can say that which metals are more reactive or which metals react more with oxygen or which can react with less reactivity. So we will see some of the examples. The first example is when sodium is burnt in air. Sodium is a very reactive metal, as you have seen in the reactivity series that it is placed on the almost top. So it is a highly reactive metal that it can react with atmospheric oxygen and moisture. So this reacts on the room temperature itself with oxygen and it forms sodium oxide. But all the metals are not equally reactive. According to the reactivity value, the tendency to react with oxygen is also less. So you can see it here that when magnesium do not react on room temperature with oxygen, but it reacts with oxygen on heating and it burns with a dazzling white light. So you can see the equation. When magnesium is burned in air, when it is heated, magnesium oxide is formed. Then comes zinc. Zinc is comparatively less reactive than magnesium. So it reacts with oxygen only on strong heating and it burns with a bluish flame. So let us see the reaction. Zinc reacts with oxygen and forms zinc oxide. Then comes the turn of iron. Iron reacts with oxygen on strong heating and it do not burn because it is comparatively less reactive than zinc. The reaction is when iron reacts with oxygen, oxides of iron are formed. It can be iron 2 oxide or iron 3 oxides. Now let us see some more examples. Then we have copper. So as you know that copper is placed very below, even below than hydrogen in the reactivity series. So it is very less reactive, and even on prolonged strong heating with oxygen it reacts very slowly, and hence copper oxide is formed. So according to the reactivity, if we arrange them in decreasing order of their reactivity, the series becomes sodium, then magnesium, then zinc, then iron, then copper. So copper is least reactive and sodium is more reactive. Now we know that how the magnesium oxide, or you can say any metal oxide, is forming when metal is burning into air or oxygen. Then let us see how this metal oxide has formed. So you know that any metal is having some particular electronic configuration. Electronic configuration is the electron distribution in the atoms. So you can see, suppose if we are taking one example of magnesium, magnesium is having atomic number 12 and 2A2 will be the electronic configuration. So 2 electrons it can lose very easily. So 2 electrons are given out, but oxygen, it needs 2 more electrons to complete its octet or to stabilize itself. So it takes these 2 oxygens, these 2 electrons, and it forms O2 negative. So here magnesium is getting oxidized as it is losing electrons, and oxygen is gaining electrons, so it is getting reduced. Hence it forms a compound MgO, that is magnesium oxide. So here metal oxides. Metal oxides are, most of the metal oxides are basic in nature. Basic in nature, that means when you dissolve the oxides in the water solutions, they will give you OH negative ion on dissolution in aqueous solution. But some of the metals, they show you both type of effects. That means they are basic as well as sometimes they behave as a acidic oxide as well. For example, NOEDM and zinc. So the metal oxides which behave as both acids as well as bases, they are called amphoteric metal oxides. Why we are saying that metal oxides are basic in nature? Because soluble metal oxides, they react with water and turns red litmus paper into blue color. So this gives the indication of formation of metal hydroxides, because when metal oxides are mixed in water, they form metal hydroxides. And the change in color of litmus paper is giving an indication that these are basic in nature. Like some of the metal oxides like aluminum oxide, zinc oxide, they show both acidic as well as basic character. That means sometimes they behave as proton donors, sometimes they behave as proton acceptor. So on the basis of that, they can be acidic as well as basic. So these metal oxides are called amphoteric oxides. For example, you can see that ZNO, zinc oxide, when dissolved in dilute sulfuric acid, then this zinc, as it is more reactive compared to hydrogen, it displaces hydrogen from the acid and it becomes zinc sulfate. So here zinc is getting oxidized, whereas water molecule formation is happening. So this H2O here, as Zn is getting oxidized, hence it is showing the basic nature, and when it is reacting with NaOH, sodium hydroxide, it is forming sodium zincate, which is a salt, and water is produced. And this shows the acidic character of the zinc oxide. Then one more example we can have Al2O3, that is aluminium oxide. When it reacts with acids, it forms aluminium chloride and water is given as a byproduct. Then when aluminium oxide is reacting with a base, then it is forming a salt and water is given away. So now you can understand that when the salt formation happens, when a base is reacting with an acid. So when you can see here, acid is this and it is forming a salt. So what should be the one reactant here? It should be a base. So that is why it is shown that now these aluminium oxide is behaving as basic oxide in one medium, whereas acidic oxide in another medium. So that is why these are called amphoteric oxides. Now our next point is, how do metals react with water? So as you know that depending upon the reactivity, different metals react with water under different conditions. Some are very reactive, so they can react with the cold water, but some are less reactive, so they need different conditions to react with it. For example, sodium, it can react with the cold water and form sodium hydroxide and hydrogen gas is given away. When magnesium is reacting with water, it cannot react with cold water as it is less reactive as compared to sodium. So it reacts with boiling water and it forms magnesium oxide and hydrogen gas is given away. So magnesium reacts with boiling water and produces magnesium oxide and hydrogen gas is evaporated. Then aluminium, less reactive than magnesium, it also reacts with boiling water and forms aluminium hydroxide. And here also hydrogen gas is given away. Then we have zinc. Zinc reacts with, not even with boiling water, it reacts with steam, because it is comparatively less reactive than aluminium, and it forms zinc oxide and hydrogen gases produced. Then iron, that is even less reactive than zinc. So red hot iron reacts with steam and forms ferric oxides and hydrogen gases produced. But copper, even on very high temperature of water, that is steam, copper is very less reactive, so it do not react with. So no reaction happens between copper and steam. According to the reactivity series, what happens? Sodium, then magnesium, aluminium, iron and copper. Now let us see how do metals react with dilute acids. Usually metals, they displace hydrogen from the dilute acids, which are more reactive as compared to hydrogen. That means they have a high standard electrode potential than hydrogen. The metals which have lower standard electrode potential values than hydrogen, so they are not able to displace hydrogen. Metals, when react with hydrochloric acid, that is dilute, they form metal chlorides and hydrogen gas is liberated. And metals, when they react with sulfuric acid, dilute, then they form metal sulfates and hydrogen gas is liberated. But metals with nitric acid do not form a salt and no hydrogen gas liberation is there actually, because nitric acid is a very strong oxidizing agent. For example, you can see when sodium reacts with hydrochloric acid, it forms sodium chloride, hydrogen gases evolved. When sodium reacts with sulfuric acid, it forms sodium sulfate, hydrogen gases evolved. Magnesium, zinc, iron, they also produce the same effects. They displace hydrogen from the acids and they form salt and hydrogen gases liberated. But copper, as it is having a standard electrode potential value lower than hydrogen, so it do not displace hydrogen from the acids. Now let us see how do metals react with the solutions of other metal salts. So you know that more reactive metal can displace less reactive metal from the metal salt solution. For example, when we have copper sulfate solution and iron is put into it, then iron displaces copper from its solution and it forms ferrous sulfate. And copper, being less reactive, separates out. Now, our next topic is chemical properties of nonmetals. So, as we know that nonmetals are electronegative in nature. That means they have a tendency to attract the shared pair of electrons in a covalent bond, and hence they become electronegative. They get a negative charge on themselves. So first point, when they react with oxygen, they also form oxides. For example, sulfur, it forms sulfur dioxide. Carbon dioxide is formed. Hydrogen, when it is bound in oxygen, then water is produced. Now, one important thing about the non-metal oxides is that most of the non-metals, they produce more number of oxides. For example, this carbon when burned in less oxygen, that means limited amount of oxygen supply is there, then it will form carbon monoxide. But if it is having oxygen supply enough, then it will form carbon dioxide. One more example is nitrogen. Nitrogen forms 5 different types of oxides. Nitrous oxide, that is called a laughing gas because it is neutral in nature. Then nitric oxide, that is also neutral in nature. Then dinitrogen trioxide N2O3, that is acidic in nature. Then we have nitrogen oxide, dinitrogen tetraoxide and dinitrogen pentoxide. So all among these 5-6 types, few are neutral and few are acidic. Now let us see the reaction of non-metals with water. So almost maximum number of non-metals, they do not react with with water, but the non-metals which are highly reactive like fluorine and chlorine, they react with water to form acids. For example, when chlorine reacts with water, HOCl, that is hypochlorous acid, and HCl, that is hydrochloric acid, is formed. Then fluorine, when it reacts with water, O2 is produced and HF, that is hydrofluoric acid, is produced. Then let us see the reaction with acids. Metals, either they do not react with dilute acids, they react with concentrated acids only. For example, if sulfur is reacting with nitric acid, it forms H2SO4, that is sulfuric acid. Nitrogen gas is evolved, nitrogen oxide gas is evolved, and water is produced. Then we have reactions with chlorines. When non-metals, they react with chlorine, they form chloride compounds like H2 reacts with chlorine, forms HCl. P4, that is phosphorus. Phosphorus reacts with chlorine, it forms phosphorus trichloride and phosphorus pentachloride. So let us see the reactions with hydrogen. When non-metals, they react with hydrogen, which is a non-metal itself, the hydrides of non-metals are formed. For example, hydrogen when it reacts with oxygen, it forms 2H2O. Nitrogen when it reacts with hydrogen at a temperature range of 700 to 770 Kelvin, and iron as a catalyst, it forms ammonia. And this process of formation of ammonia is known as Haber's process. One more example is the formation of hydrogen sulfide. Now, one more important characteristic of non-metals is high electronegativity. Here, high electronegativity means they have a great tendency to attract the shared pair of electrons in a covalent bond. Hence, they are accepting or they are attracting the electrons towards themselves, and hence they behave as a good oxidizing agents. For example, fluorine. Then how metals and non-metal react together. So according to the electronic configuration of metals and non-metals, sometimes it happens that because metals, they are electropositive, they have a tendency to lose the electrons, and non-metals, they have a tendency to accept or to attract the electron, that is electronegativity. So either there is a complete transfer of the electrons from metals to non-metals, or there is a sharing of electrons in between metals and non-metals. So depending upon the transfer or sharing, two types of compounds are formed when metal reacts with non-metal. It can be ionic compound or it can be covalent compound. These type of compounds, how they form, how the metals are reacting with non-metals, this I will be discussing in our lecture number 3 in very much detail. So till now the topics of the lecture are over. Let us summarize the chapter once, the lecture once. So in the lecture we started with the chemical properties of matter. Then we saw how metals react with oxygen. Then we have done formation of metal oxides. We have seen nature of metal oxides. Then how they react with water, with dilute acids and with other metal salts. Then we did chemical properties of non-metal, that how they react with oxygen, water, acids, hydrogen, other metals and chlorine. So all this we have done in today's lecture. Now let us see the homework first. So the homework for today's lecture is you have to do 5 questions which are in-text questions of your NCERT. The first question is why sodium is kept immersed in kerosene oil. Second question is write equations for the reactions. First, iron with steam. Second, calcium and potassium with water. Then the third question is samples of 4 metals A, B, C and D are taken and added to the following solutions one by one. The results obtained are tabulated as follows. You can see that when metal A, B, C, D are added in these 4 solutions, then what is the result? No reaction, displacement, no reaction. You can see it from here. Now you have to use the table to answer the following questions. Part A is which is most reactive metal? B, what would you observe if B is added to a solution of copper 2 sulfate? Then we have to arrange metal A, B, C, D in the order of their decreasing reactivity in part C. Question number 4 is which gas is produced when dilute hydrochloric acid is added to a reactive metal? Write chemical reaction when iron reacts with dilute sulfuric acid. Question number 5 is what would you observe when zinc is added to a solution of iron 2 sulfate? Write the chemical reaction that takes place. Now let us see lecture number 1 homework solutions. So in lecture number 1 I give you 2 questions as homework. First question was name a metal for the following. Name a metal, part A, which is a liquid at room temperature. So that is mercury, Hg. Then B part can be easily cut with a knife. That is sodium because it is very soft. C part is the best conductor of heat. That is silver. D part is a poor conductor of heat. That is lead. Then second question was explain the meaning of malleable and ductile. So malleable means the tendency of metals to form very thin sheets by hammering is called malleability. So every metal is malleable, but all metals are not equally malleable. That means they can be beaten into very thin sheets. For example, gold, copper, silver, these are malleable metals. Gold and silver, they are highly malleable, as even with 1 gram of gold we can make a sheet which is even thinner than the thinnest paper. You can imagine the thickness of a paper, so that is even thinner than that. Then we have ductile. So the tendency of the metals to get drawn into thin wires is called ductility of metals. So the metals, they can be drawn into wires, and depending upon the reactivity, some metals are highly ductile, some are less. For example, gold and silver and copper, they are highly ductile metals, as gold, silver, copper, they can be drawn into very thin wires. Even 1 gram of gold, we can make 2 kilometer length wire with it. And copper wires, you must have seen that copper wires are extensively used in electric wiring in the household circuits. So this is it for today. Till then, goodbye and take care.